Okay, so just before I kind of start again, I just want to go through the sort of the reasoning for what I was doing to the carbs, because I think some of that reasoning was lost when the video I was making before the camera cut off without me realizing. So this is a little thing from Email which you can get, and it's very important, to understand this. We're looking at the top here. So this is how the carb works. Up to a quarter open throttle. No, sorry, which I can't read it. An eighth of an inch open throttle is your pilot jet. Okay, so that's the pilot jet controls the carburation up to an eighth open throttle, so tick over basically. Then the size of the throttle cutaway controls from an eighth to a quarter open. All right, which I thought was roughly in where the rev range that where the fluffing of the engine takes place. Then the needle position is from a quarter to 3/4 open, and also that will be the needle jet size. And then from 3/4 to fully open, it's the size of the main jet that counts. So if you're adjusting your car, you don't, like a lot of people say, oh, I put a bigger main jet in. Well, yeah, okay, but that's only doing, that's only at full throttle. Now, my problem was at about 2,500 revs, and I've been thinking that the problem has been at this rev range, the throttle cutaway, from an eighth to a quarter open. But it's been suggested now by Email that maybe it's wandering into the needle position, and more particular, since mine's already on the richest position, the actual size of the needle jet. And so that, and because I've checked, and my throttle valves are actually a whole one size smaller than should be, so they're already like two down because they go in half sizes. So this cutaway should be a 4, and these cutaways are 3, so it goes 4 down to 3.5, down to 3. So I'm already a whole size down, which obviously is a lot. So what they've suggested is, rather than go down again, which I agree with, I didn't realise mine had already gone down too. Try, and I've already got the needle on the richest, and they think that my fluffing is in between these two conditions of the carburettor. So that's what we're doing. We're putting in slightly larger needle jets, and that's what we're going to look at now. Doing that, and then hopefully that might cure the problem. Okay, but it's important to remember that when you're working on a carb, these are the 4 different sort of positions. So I'll often speak to people and say, oh, it doesn't pull away very well, so I changed the main jet. Well, that won't have any effect at all. It won't pull away. You're looking at pilot jet, throttle cutaway, and to be honest, if it's not pull away well, you're probably looking at a block carb or air getting round the side of the valve or something like that. But anyway, that's incidental. What I'm saying is you need to change things according to where the problem is on the rev range. Okay, right, I'm going to start reassembling the carbs now, and I'm going to change the size of the needle jet first. So these are the needle jets that I've been sent, the new needle jets. This is the standard size. These are 106s stamped on it. And these are the new ones, and they're half a size bigger, so they're 106.5. So I'm going to take this needle jet out of the holder here. It's a needle jet at the top, and that's the main jet at the bottom. I'm going to take off this needle jet, and we're going to replace them with the slightly bigger ones. Okay, and hopefully that might cure the fluffing at 2,500 revs. It'd be great if it did. It's only been 10 years. Yeah. And the new ones they've got the size stamped on them. It's not quite as clear on these, but it's stamped 106.5. Okay, so these are the slightly bigger needle jets. So just simply screw them in there. There we go. Go them up again. They don't have to be too tight, but obviously you don't want either the needle jet or the main jet coming loose when you're riding the bike. I do know people who've taken their float, the float chambers off to find the main jet sitting in the bottom of the float chamber. So then that just screws up into the body of the carb, and we nip that up. There we go, and that's it. So I'm simply going to repeat that for the other two carbs, and then we'll put the float chambers on. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the first float chamber back on. Something to note though, before I went to put it back on, I thought I'd just give it a quick clean, and it's just what I did because I realised that the fibre washer on the sump plug had gone completely. That bit just kind of fell off, so it wasn't sealed at all. So there's that old saying that chrome won't get you home, which I think is very true, but I also remember or think, if you clean your bike, it's amazing what you find. If I hadn't have given that a quick clean, I probably wouldn't have noticed that fibre washer had gone. So, just always bear that in mind. That, okay, chrome won't get you home, but if you clean your bike now and again, then, that's loose or whatever. Next thing, I had to look for a new fibre washer, and I've got this one. It's not quite the right one, but it fits. I had a rummage through my drawer of AMAL carb parts, and lo and behold, what do I discover? But a spare throttle rod, which is that which I need, which of course I've already just ordered and it's due to arrive tomorrow. But there we go. I didn't know I had a spare one, and it looks like I've still got a spare one because I just ordered one. I suppose I could send the new one back, but I'll just keep this one as a spare, now remembering that I do actually have a spare one. Right, okay, we're going to put the float chamber back on. The problem with putting the float chamber back on, especially because I've been lazy and I haven't taken the carbs off the gantries, it's quite awkward because we've got the float needle, which just sits on the float, and then we've got the hinge pin, which also just comes out, and the whole lot literally sits in the top of the float chamber. Make sure it's all seated, and then we have the gasket which goes on top. Now, what I'm saying is, the problem is, if you're not careful, then the whole thing can come unseated as you put it on. Oh, and just by the by, I also took the opportunity to clean out the float bowl and cleaned out the gunge that was in the sump. Because there's always some, not much, but there's certainly a little bit in there. Okay, so I'm going to try and ensure this goes together without dislodging the various parts, and I'm going to do it on camera, so it's bound to fail. So there we go, that's going to go in there, and when it's kind of in place, then you can turn it the right way up, and hopefully I can get one of the I thought I was ready. I can get one of the Allen keys in, hopefully. Go on. There you go. Allen screws, I should say, sorry. Get the other one in. There we go. Right, and then I can tighten them up. But that's the only thing you got to watch for taking the float balls off, that the float, etc., goes back in the right place. Now, I guess really I should have checked the float heights, but I've checked them so many times in the past and they've always been spot on, to be honest. I'm not going to, because I'm fairly sure they're spot on still. So just do these up again, not too tight because you can warp the flange of the of the float chamber and it will leak. Okay, but there we are, that's on. So then I'm going to do the other float chambers. I'm going to give them a clean up again. I'm going to clean out the any little gunge that's in the bottom there, not much, but clean it out. Just give it a wipe down, and again I'll repeat the same process as that for these for the remaining float chambers. Okay, I'm just going to put the float chambers on. I'm going to put the petrol pipe back on now. I just mentioned that in the bottom of all these is a top hat filter, so always there's one in each of these. There's 3 top hat filters, and then there's the actual plug, which itself the screw that holds it on, which is itself a sump. So again, clear out what's in the bottom of this. There's always some little bits and bobs, so it's always worth doing. There we go, fuel pipes back on. Just while I remember, little thing underneath these mounting bolts for the fuel pipe, there's tiny little washers. Okay, so don't forget those little fibre washers. Just stops it leaking. There isn't a washer at the top because the washer is actually part of that top hat filter forms the washer, but there is a little fibre washer underneath those heads. There we go. Yeah, we've got those in good. So the next thing will be to put the throttle valves in. So what I could, and I'm waiting for the new throttle rod to come. So what I could do is I could use this one, which I think looks okay, and use the one that arises as a spare. So I'm not waiting for it. I'll see. Kind of a break now anyway. Okay, good. Just coming back together now nicely. And just a quick follow-up. Now I've put the petrol pipes on, I'll be taking them back off again and turning them around the right way. Because I've got them sort of flowing to the back where the petrol taps are. No, no they're not. On a T160, the petrol taps, you think they're near the back of the tank, but they're actually in the middle of the tank. So the pipes actually want to come out about opposite the end of the at the end of the inlet rubbers. That's where the petrol tap is. So I need to, having thought, yeah, this is the way they go on, because I go to the petrol taps at the back of the tank. No, the petrol taps are in the middle. So I'll take these back off, turn it round, put it back on again. Hurrah.